So last time we talked, you had expressed a concern about the kids in your classroom being off task. And so I came in this morning and I looked at your second period. And so this is the data that I found. I recorded the time that they were up, the student if I knew their name, what they were doing, why they were doing it, and if there was any effect. So what I saw was there was a lot of kids who were out of their seats, and it seemed like just kind of administrative tasks, like needed to sharpen the pencil, or needed to ask you something, or they needed to get a laptop or something out of their binder. The one little girl who sits at the back of the room, blonde hair, I think, she was out of her seat a lot to help the boy at the front. And then the boy who went to sharpen his pencil stood at the pencil sharpener for a good 3 minutes and was staring everybody down who would look at him. So it seemed like he may have been
one of the catalysts.
Right, that at least that I saw today. And then there was another one who, it was this boy who went to get something from his binder. On his way back to his seat, he and this boy were like kicking each other. But it didn't last very long. So I don't know if I saw this because it was at the beginning of the period, or if this would have continued. Okay.
Yes. So you're looking at, again, the high flyers. If I pull this just a little bit towards. So these are the high flyers,
Sure.
as I told you before, and this happens constantly up. And I actually took the seating chart and moved them to like 4 corners, and instead of talking to each other, they'll either talk across the room or they will find excuses to get up, go sharpen the pencil, get up, go get a tissue. And they'll walk around each other and do the slap each other, kick each other, like this behavior.
Okay.
And just to get a rise out of each other, or they'll go to the pencil sharpener and stare each other down until they look, and then they laugh at each other. And the one student, it's not as affecting as grade because he's more capable. The other 2 or 3 is just like, not happening. Can't seem to get their work done. So it pretty much continued the whole period.
I'm wondering if, like, these are not uncommon behaviors, but what makes it frustrating is that you have several students in the same classroom who are constantly doing the same behaviors. So have you had this situation in the past where you've found solutions that work?
Well, normally,
or even with one student that works?
Normally, when you start the process of the lunch detention, the after schools or the lunch detentions and stuff, it stops. They realize that you're going to get a lunch detention if you do this. You're going to get a parent phone call home if you do this. And you don't have the behaviors. This year, with a couple of those students, I've called home and it hasn't seemed to matter. And it just seems that these couple of students, it hasn't seemed to matter, or it hasn't seemed to affect as much. The one we have tried parent conferences over and over again. And again, this is something that I can't control when I get that. So I'm not sure how to deal with it in the classroom, what effective strategy there would be. The other one doesn't seem to care if I call home, and so I'm kind of at a loss for strategies of what to do to deter it.
So does it seem like it's generally these 3, or you said there were 4?
There's one more that did pretty well today until the very end of the period, and he got out out of his seat once or twice. But
is he the one who was sitting next to me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm thinking reward-wise, I don't even know if the signatures help much. We used to give out tickets, but they didn't help much, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure with those boys what to do.
for them?
Food.
Food.
The boys like food.
Well, I'm thinking like positive referrals.
Mm. You know, that would probably work really well for the one boy, 'cause he even said, "Would you call my mom? I was good today." So I think the one that you were sitting beside, that would
Mhm.
work well for.
From what I know of him from last year, those, more elementary
Type thing,
type things really.
because of his maturity level. Um, yeah, that makes sense. The one that was in the back, that these two, I think I can work with this one. I'm gonna start pulling him for pullbacks.
Mhm.
These two, I'm just not sure about. They seem a little more difficult. Those are the two that, you know, the parent calls have not affected.
Is this student new this year?
Yes, came from North. So, I'm thinking just, maybe I need to bring them in at lunch. Restorative practices, you went to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have some of those questions that went with those? Didn't they have like certain questions you asked the students?
There are 2 sessions, I've only been to the first.
You've only been to the first?
Mhm.
I'm wondering though, if maybe, somebody has those questions that I could sit down and work with those.
I can find you that resource.
All right, that would be good. Maybe we can look at that, and if there's certain questions, I can bring them in at lunch maybe and sit down and do those restorative practices with those kids.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that would work?
I think it's worth a shot. I think it's a good starting spot. Yeah, because I think you made a good point when you were saying that with the one student, when he asked you to call home, if you are taking time to acknowledge the good things that he's doing, and
Mhm.
I think that he would really benefit from the restorative practices because of his maturity level, you know, he doesn't have those coping skills.
Mhm.
And to build that relationship with him, I
Mhm.
think would also be beneficial for him. Okay, so. Are you planning to continue with the lunch detentions?
Yes, I am. I've been following the policy that we have with the warning, it's parent contact, then
Mhm.
it's lunch detention, then lunch detention with parent contact. I think that's sort of,
Yeah.
yeah. But I kind of skipped and went ahead and just did lunch detention with it. Each time I'm giving
Mhm.
them lunch detention because we're in the second working period now.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's more effective if they are getting a lunch detention each time.
Okay. So it sounds like the plan is continuing with the lunch detentions, looking for those positive behaviors that you can either acknowledge
With some kind of
directly
reward.
in class or with a positive referral.
Mhm.
And then other positive incentives like phone calls home. And then I will look for those restorative practices questions.
Okay.
So, you can start working through that with the kids at lunchtime.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
And then do you wanna get back together in maybe a couple of weeks to talk about
Yeah, let's see how
what's
it
worked
goes.
so far and maybe talk about some other strategies that,
Yeah, that sounds good.
okay, sounds good.